Welcome to the latest edition of the Cranky Curmudgeon's Corner. My name is Paul Thomas. This is Amendment 37. No member of Congress shall be eligible for membership after 9 terms or 18 years. Term limits for Congress. When I first wrote the first book, The Referendum Machine, I had like one of the main features in it, which said that we should eliminate, we should have imposed term limits, and we should make Congress 4-year terms instead of 2-year terms, and then they should only be 3 terms, so that would only be 12 years. But I've rethought that. I think that we still should have congressional elections every 2 years, because if you have Marjorie Taylor Greene in, 2 years later, you can get Marjorie Taylor Greene out. So that's why I think that, we shouldn't have 4-year terms. But I still believe in term limits. We should definitely have term limits. So what do you think about that, Marilee?
I go back and forth. I don't really know how I feel about it. I really don't. I think that there's such an experience level that you get certain people in there that are absolute gems because of what they, the processes and what they understand. And you just keep circulating with a lot of newbies. I think that the pocket lining can be exacerbated even further because they're in for a short time and that's all they can be in there, and they're going to make hay while the sun shines and not necessarily have to represent the people. But if somebody
but isn't 18 years like not really a short time though?
It's not. I don't know. It's kind of arbitrary. To me, I see, as far as I'm concerned, as long as Nancy Pelosi's still standing, she can have her job. But I get the rest of the country may not feel that way. But by the same, of course, there's other people you do want to get ousted. I'm definitely on the fence. I see a lot of good from a lot of people who have been serving for a very long period of time. But yes, that is one shortcut way to get rid of some garbage too. So
okay, Judy, Don Young was in there for 25 terms, 50 years. So were you on the fence whenever he was your representative all those years?
Well, of course, I didn't want Don Young to be my representative. The way to get rid of him would have been to have Alaskans wake up and vote him out. I think that I'm with Marilee. I'm of 2 minds. So, we want to get rid of Chuck Grassley, but keep Nancy Pelosi. So and you can't choose that way. Could we make it a little longer? 24 years, but that's pretty long. I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Okay.
We got. Do you mean? Well, never mind.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, you mean that after you can't be out then for a couple of years and come back either. Is that what you mean here?
No, I mean that if you do the full 18, 9 terms, you're done. But if you do 6 terms and then are out for a while and come back and do the 3 more, then it's okay. You have 18 total, no matter how you do it.
No matter how you do it. Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to take a break for a while and then go do something else and then come back, as long as you don't do your full 18, you'd be eligible. Okay, Thaddeus, got a couple fence sitters here. Where do you sit?
I'm right on the fence with both of you. And probably for the same reasons. I mean, we've got Nancy Pelosi on the one hand, and we've got Moscow Mitch on the other. They are 2 old hands. But then again, we've got Mitch McConnell and we've got Joe Biden. And, they are personal friends, and they know each other because they've been in the Senate together for decades. And both of them are very, very, very good at what they do. One seems to be doing it for the white hats and the other guy for the black hats. But, you know, sometimes it's valuable to have that experience there. On the other hand, the only thing a lot of people in Washington are doing, I mean, it's not just their main job, it is their only job, is to get reelected and reelected and reelected, and they will do whatever they can, butter whatever bread they have to butter to get that reelection, and they don't really care whether they do anything for the people or not, as long as they've got the money coming in to, you know, tell the story that makes it look like they're doing something so the people will vote for them again. So I, on one hand, I'd say, oh, let's just give them 1 6-year term and they're out. But on the other hand, we lose the benefit of the experience of people who've been there. So 18 years, I thought that was a little too generous for judges, but for legislators, they need to be in there for a while. So we've got some at least semi-old hands to guide the newcomers and get more done. So, you know, I can't come down on either side of that.
That's fair. Okay, Thaddeus has submitted a suggestion for legal language protecting abortion and other medical rights. Whenever I told him about the topic of this evening's discussion, he said, well, he had something that he wanted, that he thought was good. So I'm going to let him read his proposal and we can comment on it as well. So Thaddeus, you have the floor.
Okay, no, thank you for copying it. I couldn't find my own copy. Given the understanding that bodily sovereignty is a universal natural right, be it here stated that no branch or level of government, hereafter referred to as the state, possesses the moral, ethical, or, as effective at this date, legal authority to veto the medical decisions of any person or legal guardian of a minor. Neither is the state permitted to control, limit, or deny access to any medical procedure an individual chooses to undergo with professional medical advice. Existing laws prohibiting or limiting access to procedures, including but not limited to abortion, IVF, surrogacy, tubal ligation, vasectomy, or medically assisted suicide or similar related procedures, are hereby rendered null and void. The repeal of all such legislation must be completed no more than 180 calendar days after the signing of this bill and cannot be enforced in the interim.
Okay, there was a lot more specificity in this proposal than I was giving in any of my amendments. And because of that, I thought that this would be more likely to be a federal statute than like an amendment to the Constitution. But I have to say, everything you have in here, I'm in full agreement of. People should have the right to make their own medical decisions, and the government should just stay away from that decision-making process. So, Judy, what do you think about that as a suggestion here?
Well, I agree with you that it does read a little more like a statute than a constitutional amendment. I agree, of course, with the idea of it. And so it's, you know, I just kind of want to throw privacy in there as sort of the overriding thing. No, I agree with it. I think it would have to be stated in more general terms so that it could be fleshed out by statute. It's my feeling.
Yeah.
So are you saying there's some detail in there that wouldn't work in the statutory?
Well, I just think that I don't know, the way our Constitution was written, it was written generally so that, you know, it could be filled in with statutes.
Right.
And so this is, I mean, not to criticize the ideas. I'm not trying to criticize what's there. It's merely whether it's too specific or not.
Well, I think the Fourth Amendment kind of is the general rule, like unreasonable search and seizures.
Yeah.
And I think that this would just fall under the Fourth Amendment. And I agree with what you're saying is that the specificity is very statutory as opposed to constitutional. So, Marilee, what do you think about that as his proposal here?
That was very comprehensive. And I was very impressed with it. I truly. I think anything that protects, people's health rights is important. The only adverse thing I can possibly see is this being misinterpreted for our next pandemic. And for the maskless morons out there with waving our bodies, our rights. And not, considering protection for others. So could there be some kind of public health caveat?
Yeah, that's a good point, Thaddeus. I
Really
mean,
good point. Yeah.
if you have a knucklehead doctor like those ones that Trump paraded out in front of the Supreme Court that one day that were saying all this crazy nonsense about, hydrochloroquine and stuff. Yeah. So what do you say about that, Thaddeus?
I think that you got a good point that there should be, if there's going to be a statute like this, there would have to be language saying that public health considerations have to be given. I was thinking in terms of, surgical procedures, not whether or not somebody wears a surgical mask or gets an inoculation. Of course, people have been allowed to go without inoculations that we consider public health issues since time immemorial, because the religion they belong to says we don't believe in shots or something like that. So there's some back and forth and give and take, but public health should not be ignored in people's private medical decisions.
Right. You need to think about how to incorporate that particular caveat with this, because I frankly I never even thought about that whenever I read this, that because you talked about inoculations, they force people in the Army to get inoculations, all kinds of inoculations.
Yeah.
Since I think George Washington forced the smallpox vaccine on. Yeah. Okay, panel, what a great discussion tonight. I want to thank you, Thaddeus, Marilee, Judy, for helping me out here with this constitutional discussion. So until next time, those of you out there in Cyberland, thanks for listening. Bye now.